The year is 1692. A cold wind blows through Salem, Massachusetts, a village on the edge of a vast wilderness. The people of Salem find solace in their strict Puritan faith, believing the devil is a real malevolent force. In the winter of 1692, fear takes root in Salem village. It begins in Reverend Samuel Parris's home, where his daughter Betty and niece Abigail exhibit strange behavior, defying explanation. The strange illness afflicting Betty Parris and Abigail Williams spreads like wildfire. Other young women in the village begin to exhibit similar symptoms: fits, convulsions, and bizarre trance-like states. Desperate for answers, the villagers turn to the only explanation they can comprehend: witchcraft. Accusations begin to fly, with Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne becoming easy targets. The accusations mark a turning point, transforming a local mystery into a full-blown witch hunt. The trials, presided over by local magistrates, become a public spectacle. The accused, often marginalized members of society, are subjected to humiliating examinations. Confessions, often coerced, are offered as proof of their unholy alliances. The court, blinded by fear, becomes a stage for vengeance and persecution. The Salem Witch Trials become a cautionary tale of mass hysteria and the fragility of justice. The small, wood-paneled room crackled with tension. Betty Parris lay on her bed, her eyes wide with a strange, unseeing gaze. Reverend Samuel Parris, a stern figure, paced the room, his brow furrowed with worry. Word of the girl's condition spread quickly through the village, carried on the icy wind. Whispers of witchcraft began to circulate, growing bolder with each retelling. As Betty and Abigail's condition worsened, the whispers of witchcraft intensified. The villagers, desperate for an explanation, began to look for a scapegoat. Their gaze fell upon Tituba, a slave in the Parris household, and two other women, Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. These three women, already marginalized, became the focal point of the hysteria. They were accused of consorting with the devil and practicing witchcraft. The legal machinery of the time ground into motion, warrants were issued, and Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne were arrested. The trials, a travesty of justice, subjected the accused to relentless questioning. The young girls provided dramatic testimony, fueling the flames of hysteria. Fear became the currency of Salem, traded in hushed whispers and accusing glances. The Salem courthouse stood as a silent sentinel over the unfolding drama. The trials followed a peculiar logic, dictated by the beliefs of the time. Spectral evidence, the testimony of the afflicted girls, was given significant weight. Tituba, under pressure, confessed to practicing witchcraft, sending shockwaves through the courtroom. Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne maintained their innocence, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. As the trials progressed, fear settled over the village. Neighbors eyed each other with suspicion, their trust shattered. Whispers of witchcraft followed people like shadows. Martha Corey community were also accused. Hunt had spiraled out of control. Despite the escalating hysteria, voices of reason began to emerge. Reverend John Hale, initially a supporter of the trials, began to have doubts. He questioned the validity of the spectral evidence. Hale urged the court to exercise caution, but his pleas were largely ignored. The court clung to the belief that they were engaged in a righteous battle against evil. The Salem Witch Trials ripped through the fabric of the community. Families were torn apart as accusations pitted neighbor against neighbor. Those who questioned the trials risked becoming targets themselves. The atmosphere of fear silenced dissent, creating a climate of conformity. The trials cast a long shadow over Salem, a reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria. The heart of the Salem Witch Trials was a cold and unforgiving place. The courtroom became a stage for a terrifying spectacle. The magistrates, pillars of the community, carried the weight of their positions heavily. The accused, presumed guilty, faced their accusers with terror and bewilderment. Their pleas of innocence were met with stony silence or twisted into proof of guilt. Central to the Salem Witch Trials was spectral evidence. The afflicted girls claimed to see the specters of the accused tormenting them. The accused, unable to see these specters, were trapped in a nightmare. The reliance on spectral evidence highlights the extent to which the trials were driven by fear and superstition. In the charged atmosphere of the Salem courtroom, reason often proved a feeble defense. As the trials dragged on, the number of accusations continued to climb. Reverend John Hale began to voice his growing doubts about the validity of the accusations. The breaking point arrived with the execution of Reverend George Burroughs. Burroughs's execution forced many to confront the reality that innocent people were being condemned. The governor intervened, ordering a halt to the trials and releasing many of the accused. Justice, or was it? The Salem Witch Trials, once a raging inferno of fear and accusation, finally sputtered to an end in the spring of 1693. The court, its authority shaken and its methods discredited, was dissolved. The accused were released, their names forever tarnished. The aftermath was a time of reckoning and repentance. Judge Samuel Sewall publicly expressed remorse, acknowledging the injustices. The scars ran deep, etching themselves into Salem's fabric. The trials served as a chilling reminder of mass hysteria and the fragility of justice. The seeds of change. The Salem Witch Trials, though a dark chapter in American history, contained within them the seeds of change. The horrors unleashed in that small Massachusetts village forced a reckoning, a reassessment of long-held beliefs and practices that had fueled the fires of hysteria. The concept of spectral evidence, once a powerful weapon in the hands of accusers, came under intense scrutiny. Its subjective nature, its reliance on the word of those often caught in the throes of what might now be understood as psychological distress, was increasingly questioned. The Salem trials marked a turning point, a slow but steady shift away from the acceptance of such dubious evidence in legal proceedings. The trials also highlighted the dangers of unchecked religious fervor. The Puritan theocracy, which had once provided order and stability to the colonies, was revealed to be vulnerable to extremism and fanaticism. The idea of a government inseparable from the church, a government guided by divine law as interpreted by fallible humans, came under increasing criticism. The seeds of religious freedom, of a separation between church and state, were sown in the ashes of Salem. The trials served as a stark reminder of the dangers of intertwining religious beliefs with the levers of power, of allowing religious fervor to dictate matters of law and justice. A nation's conscience. The Salem Witch Trials, though seemingly a distant and isolated event, cast a long shadow over the development of the American legal system and the nation's evolving sense of justice. The horrors of that year served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of due process and the dangers of mob mentality. The principle of innocent until proven guilty, a cornerstone of modern jurisprudence, found its roots in the aftermath of Salem. The trials demonstrated with chilling clarity the dangers of presuming guilt, of denying the accused the opportunity to confront their accusers and present a defense. The right to a fair trial, to legal representation, to confront witnesses. These fundamental principles, enshrined in the Bill of Rights, emerged in part from the ashes of Salem. The nation's founders, acutely aware of the dangers of government overreach and the abuse of power, sought to create a system of justice that protected the innocent and guarded against the passions of the mob. The Salem Witch Trials also highlighted the importance of an independent judiciary, one free from political pressure and religious interference. The trials, presided over by magistrates appointed by a theocratic government, demonstrated the dangers of allowing religious beliefs to dictate matters of law and justice. The Salem Witch Trials resonate in the 21st century. Events of 1692 mirror our capacity for fear, suspicion, and cruelty. In an age of instant communication, Salem's lessons are more relevant than ever. The courage to stand up for what is right transcends time and place. Salem reminds us of critical thinking, due process, and protecting the accused. The Salem Witch Trials, in their aftermath, forced a reckoning with the deeply ingrained superstitions that had gripped the colonial mind. The horrors inflicted in the name of rooting out witchcraft exposed the fragility of a worldview dominated by a belief in the supernatural. The trials, in their wake, ignited a gradual but significant shift in the collective consciousness. The unquestioned acceptance of spectral evidence, of accusations rooted in dreams and visions, began to erode. The very notion of witches flying through the night, consorting with the devil, and casting spells on their neighbors began to lose its grip on the imaginations of a people slowly awakening to the power of reason. The trials, a tragic and costly lesson, forced a reassessment of the role of superstition in society. The Salem experience served as a stark warning against the dangers of allowing fear and ignorance to dictate matters of law, justice, and personal freedom. The seeds of skepticism, sown in the ashes of Salem, found fertile ground in the emerging Enlightenment. The ideas of reason, logic, and empirical evidence, championed by thinkers across the Atlantic, began to challenge the old ways of thinking. The 18th century witnessed a profound intellectual and cultural transformation. a shift away from the dominance of religious dogma and superstition toward a more rational and empirical understanding of the world. The Salem Witch Trials, though a tragic chapter in American history, played a role in this broader shift. The Enlightenment, with its emphasis on reason, logic, and the scientific method, challenged the foundations of traditional authority, including the unquestioned acceptance of religious dogma. Thinkers like John Locke, Isaac Newton, and Benjamin Franklin emphasized the importance of observation, experimentation, and critical thinking. In the colonies, the influence of the Enlightenment was profound. The founders of the United States, steeped in Enlightenment ideals, sought to create a government based on reason, individual liberty, and the separation of church and state. The horrors of Salem served as a stark reminder of the dangers of religious extremism and the importance of protecting individual rights. The rise of rational thought did not happen overnight. Old beliefs and superstitions died hard. However, the Salem Witch Trials, in their tragic and dramatic way, helped to accelerate the shift toward a more rational and enlightened society. The Salem Witch Trials left an indelible mark on the American psyche, a legacy of doubt and a profound awareness of the fragility of justice. The events of 1692 serve as a constant reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria and the power of unfounded accusations. Salem reminds us that even in an age of reason, we are not immune to fear and superstition. It is a legacy of questioning, challenging authority, and demanding justice for the marginalized. The Salem Witch Trials, a brief but intense period of madness and injustice, have cast a long shadow over the American consciousness. Though centuries have passed since those dark days in 1692, the echoes of Salem still resonate, a stark reminder of the fragility of reason and the enduring power of fear. The trials, though rooted in a specific time and place, hold up a mirror to the human capacity for cruelty and delusion. They force us to confront the uncomfortable truth that even in a society founded on principles of reason and justice, darkness can take root, and innocence can be sacrificed at the altar of fear. Salem serves as a cautionary tale, a warning against the dangers of mass hysteria, religious extremism, and the abuse of power. The trials remind us that the pursuit of justice can be easily derailed by prejudice, superstition, and the desire to find scapegoats for complex and often inexplicable problems. The legacy of Salem is not merely one of historical tragedy, it is a living testament to the ongoing struggle to uphold the principles of reason, justice, and individual rights. The trials, though a dark chapter in American history, offer valuable lessons for the present day, lessons that transcend time and place. At the heart of the Salem Witch Trials lies a complex interplay of belief, fear, and power. The Puritan settlers, their lives shaped by a worldview steeped in religious dogma and a profound fear of the unknown, inhabited a world where the supernatural was not merely a matter of faith, but an ever-present reality. Their belief in witchcraft and the power of the devil to infiltrate their lives and corrupt their souls was not a fringe belief, but a central tenet of their faith. This belief, coupled with the harsh realities of colonial life, disease, hardship, and the constant threat of conflict, created a climate of fear and suspicion that proved fertile ground for the horrors that unfolded. The trials also reveal the seductive nature of power, particularly when wielded under the guise of righteousness. The accusers, many of them young women on the margins of society, found their voices amplified in the courtroom, their accusations given credence by those in positions of authority. The trials, in their own tragic way, highlight the dangers of unchecked belief, of allowing fear and superstition to dictate matters of law and justice. Salem serves as a stark reminder that even the most deeply held beliefs can be twisted and manipulated to serve nefarious ends. Centuries after the events of 1692, Salem remains a place of pilgrimage and reflection. The town, once synonymous with fear and injustice, has grappled with its dark past, transforming itself into a site of remembrance and reconciliation. The Salem Witch Trials Memorial, a somber and moving tribute to the victims of the trials, stands as a testament to the enduring power of memory and the importance of confronting the darkest chapters of history. The memorial, with its simple stone benches inscribed with the names of the accused, serves as a powerful reminder of the human cost of intolerance and injustice. Salem also serves as a vibrant center for scholarship and education, a place where historians, scholars, and artists continue to grapple with the complex legacy of the trials. Museums, exhibitions, and theatrical productions offer visitors a nuanced and thought-provoking exploration of the events of 1692 and their enduring relevance. Remembering Salem is not merely an exercise in historical reflection, it is an ongoing dialogue about the nature of belief, the fragility of justice, and the importance of safeguarding individual rights. The trials, though a dark chapter in American history, offer valuable lessons for the present day. Lessons that remind us of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and the courage to challenge injustice in all its forms. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Untold Past and ring the notification bell for more fascinating history.